The YIVO was a great institution. It built, you might say, on the legacy of Peretz, of Ansky, of Dubnov, of Stif. That legacy was to bring together the Jewish intellectual and the Jewish folk. In the Haskalah, the model of the Haskalah was the Jewish intellectual telling the folk what the folk should do. I know what's best for you, you ignorant Malamdim, you ignorant Balagolis, you're stupid, listen to me, get an education, and you'll be better off. When you look at what happened to Peretz in his travel sketches, when you look at Mendele in Deklatsche, when you look at Ansky, what you see is this common tendency to rethink that Haskalah condescension, to understand that given the realities facing the Jewish people, very often the folk knows more than the intellectual, thank you, and that the intellectual shouldn't be so condescending, and that therefore there should be a collaboration rather than a didactic relationship between the ordinary people and the intellectual. What this meant was that the greatest priority for all Jews now became Sammling. Sammling in Yiddish means to collect documents, to collect folklore, to collect traces of old tombstones, to photograph, to collect Jewish ethnography. Ansky sponsored the first great expedition into the Pale, 1912, to collect Jewish ethnography. Why was collecting so important? Because if you want to create a new Jewish culture, as Peretz and Ansky wanted to do, if you want to write a new kind of Jewish history based on the history of the Jewish people rather than the history of Jewish scholarship or rabbinic literature, as Shimon Dubnov wanted to do. If you want to do all this, you need new sources. Jews don't have a state. They don't have state archives. They have to undertake a spontaneous effort to create archives, to create museums, to encourage scholarship on Jewish history, Jewish folklore, the grammar of Yiddish, the history of Yiddish, to build self-respect, to build national identity, and to build the foundation for a self-respecting national existence in the diaspora. The YIVO became the Temple of Sammling. The YIVO, founded in 1925, hoped that it would become the world capital of this imaginary country called Yiddishland, which spanned everywhere from the pampas of Argentina to Cape Town, to Australia, to Poland, to Canada. And Yiddish speakers from all over the world would send documents to the YIVO, stories to the YIVO. The YIVO organized a library, a theater archive. It encouraged Zammlers from all over to do a mitzvah by helping out the YIVO. And so the YIVO, as Max Weinreich said, was an institution, but even more than an institution, the YIVO was an idea. The YIVO represented, in as close as anything possible, Peretz's hopes for this new secular Yiddish culture, which was able to build something new without abandoning Jewish tradition. And it was Weinreich who wrote in 1935 that the YIVO could only be in Vilna because Vilna had what Weinreich called the genius of place, meaning that it was a city that combined physical space with memories, with a collective memory. The Vilna Gaon, the Ger Tzedek, Jewish tradition, and at the same time, Jewish contemporary culture. And so the YIVO was hope, the YIVO was achievement. The YIVO was the only institution where its development office faced days where it didn't have the money to buy stamps, to send out letters to schnorr money. But the YIVO somehow survived, and its bar mitzvah year was 1938. And thanks to Weinreich, the YIVO, thanks to Weinreich and Jacob Shatsky and Eliyahu Cherrycover and others, the YIVO kept going.